So, hello and good evening. It's Aarnimetsa from PokerEyemania.com and today we are talking about 9-max hypers. So this is the quickest 9-max structure and today we are doing some through the stakes again, so we'll start from the $1.5 games and we'll work our way forward. And first of all, as you can pretty much see in these games, I think like in general you next to never have a situation that if you are the first one to open the pot, like there is no limpers that you should open for more than a min raise. And now we got two callers and the pot is, or the board is like usually with pair of eights. Usually pair of eights is just, it's going to be good enough to be calling even if someone shoves, but with two callers this is probably pretty much the nastiest situation you can be with eights. These games can end for the first hand because they start from just 25 big blinds deep and we are having antes from the start on, so aggression in these games is key. As you can see in here, in a 9-max structure, when there are antes in play, there is practically one extra big blind in play. And because of the one extra big blind in play, I'm even tempted to call this, but I just think that when someone opens from UTG, it's going to be a hand that's going to be a bit too good. Actually, it's going to be pretty much on the edge with Queen 7 suited. It's like we know that we are behind against his range, but still we don't need to realize a lot of our equity. Here with 4-5 suited, it's again a situation we don't need to realize a lot of our equity, and I think that we will, and especially if we are hitting a flop like this. Then there's the plan on how to realize our equity, and I think that we are going to let the other guys have some rope to make a noose and trying to get them to bet, and if they don't bet, then try to just bet small and try to get more money in. And usually in these games it's okay to even if it goes for one street only checked, because in these games the stack sizes are usually so short that even if it goes check, if you bet and then on the river you are pretty much having a stack that you can get in on the river, so you don't need to aim for 3 streets of value, because 2 streets is going to be plenty of value for you. In here we are betting for value against this player that called from the blinds, and well, what happened outside the screen? Somebody limp called with Ace-7 off. That's going to be something that will make us a lot of money in the long run. Slight wobbling in the sound. I'm going to try to take the microphone closer. Usually I have taken it closer, but then it's in front of some of the tables, so then I'll need to try to look over the microphone at some spots. But I took the microphone closer to me again. Hope it fixed the sound. If there are any troubles, please always tell about the troubles first, because then we can do something to fix them. HUD description, mute the beeps. Yeah, I tried to have some music on the breaks before the break, so that's why I had the music on. In here we are pretty much min raising any 2 cards. I think even when the player is going to be as tight as this guy is, we are still We are still making more money by min raising than we are making by shoving. The risk to reward ratio is just great. And now I muted the beeps. I wonder, do I have the... I don't have the HUD description easily. But there's always the point that I can try to find it. In here, this guy limps that has limped a lot, and King Queen off is going to be a value hand in that situation. We don't mind that much if our opponent calls. And jacks are going to be for value. As you can see, these games are going to be really quick paced. I wonder what happened here. Oh, queens. Nasty, nasty, nasty spot. If this guy 3-bets enough, but I don't think that the guy will 3-bet enough in a $1.5 game. If he would be a good player, he would 3-bet a lot. And I would be opening a lot less. I just don't think that shoving is going to be that much plus EV. And in here it's going to be getting it in with Queen 2 suited. It's going to be either this hand or the next hand, and I prefer this hand in that we are having Queen 2 suited. That's going to be a hand that should play pretty okay. So a suited queen is going to be, on average, is going to be the better hand than the next hand that we are getting. And also we can still min raise on that hand. On the next hand, because we have paid the antes, I don't think that the min raise would have been an option for us. And I think we are going to get more folds by... I think we are going to get more folds. Oh, nasty, nasty. In here, because of the antes and... It's just 3 big blinds, so... And this guy is going to be among our toughest competitors. Oh, wow. That's great. That's great to be luckboxing with 10-4 off against aces. If this would have been like ace 6 off, I would have shoved against one limper. But king 6 off, I think it's going to be slightly too weak. And in here, it's going to be a really interesting bubble brewing up. Because we are about even stacked, and then there's going to be one huge stack, and I'm pretty much on a disadvantage here. Because in this table, I can't shove that wide against this biggest stack, and these two guys can shove pretty liberally on me, so I think that my equity in that game isn't so big as ICM would dictate, so I need to take a bit more risks than I would in a general situation. And Neo, you are correct that one thing that's different in hypers that there is a lot more short stacked play, and in a way that everyone on the table is short. Like everyone on the table is short, and then there are antes also involved. So like in a regular turbo sit and go, if we are thinking about it, mostly that we are seeing antes, it's going to be six-handed or also five-handed already. Mental has been so aggressive that ace-jack is going to be a value hand. Value hand to just get it in. And we got it in against 10-7 also. And I'm cracking aces again. Like, I'm getting getting it in the most horrible of situations. And I'm outdrawing these guys, so I'm getting slightly lucky in the situations that I'm getting all in, but I would prefer to get more lucky that my opponents wouldn't get them aces. Aces on the worst spots for my equity. And this guy rage quit this tournament. Like, I outdrew his aces and now he's sitting out in the game. That's awesome. And is he playing correct? I need to try to get the hand. I presume that when he calls with 10-7 suited, he's not playing correct. But when he... Or actually, he raises and I had like 8 big blinds, so he's playing correct when he calls. And it depends on the... It depends on what he thinks that average opponents will be calling him with. That should he be opening the hand at all. But I think that he should be calling it. Calling it after a race for sure. This rage quit after breaking aces is awesome. I think that we are going all in that hand by any means. And now in here we are trying just to abuse that. Someone thinks that there is going to be a fold equity when there in reality is not going to be fold equity. And wow, I run so bad today. What did I have in the 10-7 offhand? Oh, ace-jack suited. Now I marked the hand for review on, and you can remind me when we are reviewing the hand that we should think about what mental should be calling there. And I might be slightly a calling station in here. I think that with mid pair we are going to be good. At least some of the time there will be plenty of draws that he will be betting and there will be plenty of bluffs. So there is not really a lot that opponent can hit with. Hit on that kind of a flop. And these are going to be quite simple games because we are playing like 5 to 6 big blinds deep in there and about 8 big blinds deep in here, and we are having the awesome stack. Like there are 4,500 chips in a game. And when we are having 3,500 chips in the game and it's not heads up yet, life is going to be good. And if we are hitting like top pair every hand or better, then life is going to be good as well. And this doesn't even matter that much. I think that in this case, I think it might be a bit better to let these guys have a clash than to shove myself, even though I have a lot of fold equity against this guy, but I shouldn't have any again, or that much against this guy. And when this guy folded to a 3 big blind shove, that's going to be against from his worst opponent. I wonder, can I get value from some 9 or 10 here by betting small? I don't think so. Actually, I should have shoved this 5-4 off because this guy has folded so much. So this was a clear mistake. Like if you are seeing an opponent to fold to a 3 big blind raise in that situation, you you pretty much require to abuse the guy with pretty much everything you think you can have. But this is also on the reverse of the same situation. Like if the guy is so tight that he's having a folding range against a 3 big blind shove, what will he himself be shoving with? Because this is something that we are requiring something like 37% equity, and with Queen 7 we are going to have it quite often. Because this guy limps, I think that he's going to be weaker than in general. Wow. No worries though. You can always outdraw a pocket pair. 6. And on the river it wouldn't even matter, I think. And I know that this is going to be so tilting that I'm getting the money in bad, and then I'm outdrawing pretty much on every single situation, so... And I have to remind you that we have lost already 4 games for this session, so it's not about cracking the opponents always. And we have also got it in good and lost. And now, like, I need to have a reminder to myself that when Life Brew is going to be on the big blind, we should be shoving a lot. And when he shoves, just be very afraid. Against this Illidan, we don't need to be that afraid. And as I said, that as long as we have the 3000 chips, life is good, and we have lost like, I think 3 or 4 all-ins in this game already, and we are still the big stack, so life is good. And now that this guy calls, I was thinking about, do I need to call this when only Illidan shoves, but when Light Brew calls, then it's going to be no way, no way, no way I'm touching this. Perhaps I should have, perhaps I should have. I would have gotten the money in horribly, and then I would have had... Then I would still have outdrawn these guys. Both, so it was nasty on this guy, because if an ace or jack would have been hitting, he would be drawing dead with the 9. And usually in these situations I'm going to give them slight credit on that I'm not calling that wide, but like King 9 suited, it's going to be so good of a hand that even if opponent is not shoving Nash, they don't need to be even that close to Nash for that to be profitable. So I think we won 2 games out of 4, and those were only in the money finishes. And we are going now a bit higher. And if we are looking at the lobby, like winner takes 626, so we should be 2 big blinds up. Or not two big blinds. 2 buy-ins up. And for 6 sit and goes, that's pretty damn awesome. It's interesting to see that there is a solid reg with me in the game. And we can see that in this level, on the previous level, we saw that almost all of the guys were different in all of the 4 tables. But in $3.5 games, we can see that like Stingmogi seems to be on all of the tables. Then CVNJ seems to be on 2 tables. So there seem to be a lot more multi-tablers as we are going up in stakes. And Gummilurtsi, yeah, we are going to play all the time Hyper Turbo 9 Max. And practically in these games has, I think, like one of the most common or the most common misconception on tournament poker is that it's going to be all getting good hands and getting your money in good. But tournament poker is not about getting money in good. And now I'm having, like, this is a guy, he multi-tables at least 2 tables. He limp calls from UTG, then bet small when there are only small cards on the flop. And because I hit the jack on the turn, I'm going to call his small bets, but I'm not going to bet here myself. Because it's going to be so probable that this guy is having a set here. WTF. This guy is multi-tabling, but he's a player that I want to play against. If he limp calls with King 8 off, he's going to be my bank, I'd say. And that's also a very good point to take a note. And don't forget to breathe. Yeah, that's usually going to be quite the good. That's usually going to be quite good advice. In here I'm thinking that against a guy that would be opening a lot, this would be a profitable shove. But I think against pretty much, no matter if he's opening a lot or if he's opening a bit tighter, defending this is going to be massively profitable. And when he bets and then he bets again, even though it's small blind versus big blind, I'm not going to be contesting this that much. If I know that he's going to be opening something like 70% from the small blind, like I would have 6.1k hands and he would be like the Cola 447, I would be contesting that a lot more, because against the 66% range there is not going to be a lot of aces, but there will be a lot more aces on my range when I'm flatting that. And in here, we got the big stack by getting it in against the flush draw, and I think in this situation when the opponent has the nut flush draw, it's not a spot that you necessarily, okay, it's going to be a decent spot to shove as a semi-bluff, or like king is going to be the most probable hand on me, and the king 4 is not going to be very probable. And king 10 off, against two limpers that are both unknown, I think it's going to be profitable. But that's because it's a king that plays well, and I think that these guys are going to be limp folding most of the time when they are limping. And if they're limp calling, they are most likely either having a monster or then they are having something like Jack 10 off or Force or Pocket 4s, Pocket 5s, Pocket 6s, and those are all hands that King 10 off plays pretty well against. And Neo, I think the biggest difference is going to be how to play when antes are going to be so big part of the pot in the middle. So hypers are going to reward a lot more a player that plays aggressively compared to a player that will play a more passive game, and also something like blind defenses are going to be more important in this structure. And even if these antes don't look big in itself, like I think in some MTT structures the antes are going to, or the antes are higher. But the antes are so high in these games because there are so many players paying the antes. So there will always be a decent sized pot to contest. And like in general, if I think that the general 9max player will have something like 12/10 stats, a general regular 9max or turbo 9max player, I think like Cola 004 stats are more in line what I would expect in a hyper game. That I'd expect that the players are playing, or good players are playing a bit more hands than in a regular structure. But also I think that if we are looking at Cola 004, that he's not defending his big blind a lot, and that creates a lot of really profitable situations on the blind steals. And I think that's going to be probably the most common mistakes that regs are making in these games. And it's all about balancing on how you are getting the maximum out of the bad players in the tables, and how you are going to play unexploitably versus some opponents. And 10-9 suited, I think it's going to be a pretty easy shove in here. It's going to be a solid hand that pretty much no matter what they call with, it's going to be okay. And King 10 off is going to be one of the worst hands to be facing. And 6s is going to be a snap call. And King 7 off, even when we are if we are having something like, if you are having a bigger stack, then there are more options. And in here, something like Queen 6 off is going to be too weak to be shoved, and we are not having enough effective stack size in here. If we would all have 900 chips, I would probably have min raised that or done something more creative. But I think that with those stack size, pretty much the only play we have is going to be folding. And Cola did a completely standard call. And of course, if we are thinking about like the turbo players in the general games, I think the pretty much the same problems are in there. Like if you are playing more aggressively, especially in a game that regs are mostly playing pretty tight, you can get some great advantages by just being more aggressive. And in here we are given 3 hands. And this hand and the next hand are going to be more favorable for us going all in, because if we are going all in on our big blind, then there will be we are facing one good hand, quite likely, and there is not going to be enough money. But if we are shoving this hand or the next hand, the most likely if we are facing a good hand, it's going to be from one of these positions, and then there will be more dead money in the pot, because there will be more blinds in the pot. But when we are big blind ourselves, then we are facing the one good hand anyway. But against the one good hand, then we are not getting the extra big blinds, so there is less dead money in the pot. In here, if Kola shoves, it's going to be an easy shove for us. It's close. If everybody would have been like 500 or 400 or 500 chips, I would probably have shoved even this Queen 9 off. Oh, I lost tens against jacks. Oh well, doesn't matter. In here, it's the same situation that we would much prefer to get it all in on this hand and get more dead money in the pot. But this hand is just so bad. Bottom right, if you're so short and one guy limps, what are you going to shove? This is also a nasty spot, because we need to realize about 20%, 25% equity against this player. And in here, when Kola shoves, when we are getting shorter, he's going to be shoving pretty close to any hand. In this hand, what are you going to shove? I think it's going to be more value-oriented range, like something like King 9 off or King 9 off or King 10 off would probably be my limit there. I'm trying to just get more money in, because when he min-raise and calls the turn, I think it's going to be quite likely that he has been min-raising a great hand. And with the great hand, he's slightly going to be paying us off. But in here, like, when the situation is facing us is this, that there will be a player that has limped, and we have the shortest stack. We need to be quite aggressive. So King 9 off is probably going to be like King 5 suited should have probably been in as well. Because even when he limps and he's a random, I think that he's going to likely not have a great hand, and the amount of dead money in the pot is going to be huge. And if he's not having a great hand and someone like Kola or Puhipir is going to be shoving, then it's going to be good for us to get it in. And 8-7 suited, because it's suited and it's so well connected, it's going to be a good enough shove. But that was a great question from Neo, so thanks for the question. And to be carrying on about the most common misconception in tournament poker, that you are playing to get your money in good. I think I have made probably quite good money in these games, and when I get it in pre-flop, on average my pre-flop all-in equity is somewhere around 47 or 48%. So I'm getting it in bad most of the time. But what makes me the money is that even when I'm getting it bad, I either take a calculated risk by calling when I have the odds, even if I know that I don't have 50%. But if I require only 35 or 30%, then I can call a lot wider than getting my money in ahead. And also, in general, I'm going to be stealing a lot more than a general player. And when I'm going to be stealing a lot more than the general player, especially from tight players, when they call, usually I'm getting the money in bad. But usually it still doesn't matter if I get the money in bad, because I have gotten a lot of chips from them when they have folded. And another hand, ace-9 call slash shove on the bubble. Was that an easy one? 1,700 in the pot. Crap. 1,700 in the pot and 700 to call. That actually being quite close. Even with all of the ICM, I think that force should have been a call. I'm trying to find the hand, the ace-9. Neo, was it this hand? If it was, it's just like 4.5 big blinds. And I think like calling with ace-9 off is going to be pretty good. And even in here, when he calls with ace-jack off, even if I would have seen his hand, I think that would be close. Because pre-flop I'm getting 27% even when he dominates me. And I play a pot of about 4 big blinds by adding 1.5 big blinds, so I think this is an easy call, because even when it's... Let's see this hand on later on, so I'll mark this and we can look it on Hold'em Resources calculator after we have had all of our tournaments. And like in this tournament, I had pretty much the equal stacks when we started the 4 or 5 handed. I don't think that I have won a single all-in in this game or in this tournament since we have started this 4 or 5 handed, but I have stolen a crap ton of chips. Marking them fours, marking them fours. I'm enticed because we are getting such great odds here and this guy can't call. And when this guy calls, this Stingmogi should not call. And he definitely should not call with deuce 5 off. Actually, this is one hand that I wanna go through, because this 5 deuce off, it's a call that even when he's having less than 2 big blinds, that's going to be costing him so much money. And with the queen's hand, if he thinks that the opponent is not going to be calling him with pretty much... If he knows that the opponent, this guy, can fold, then it's going to be... I think the queens are going to be pretty close to a call that will lose him money. So... And maybe he gave up or used advance action. If he used advance action, that's going to be one of the worst spots to do it. Every time you are using advance action near the blind on a hyper or near a blind of a sit and go, you are going to be in a bad spot. And Massimo was pretty much the only guy from four-handed that tried to stood up to us, so... And that's probably why he's here with the big stack, so... I think he was probably from the four-handed. Outside of us, he was the player that played the best. And so now we are graduating from the micros and going to low stakes sit and goes. And from like 3.5s and 1.5s, I should probably show it to you, the lobby. But from 1.5s and 3.5s, I got like 2 or 3 sit and go starting. Because there were no players registered, and when I see 15s, I can see like instantly when a new sit and go opens, there are 5 players registered pretty much instantly on the next one. So you'll know that there will likely be about 4 decent regs at least that are registering. And when we are going to 7s, we can pretty much see that we are having more decent regs. And we are having at least 1 good reg. I respect Dyrkabes quite a lot in these hypers. And I think that if you are playing like only 9-max hypers or 9-man hypers, you'll need to play 7s as well, even if you have bankroll to play 100s and 200s that sometimes open. So probably like you can play hypers pretty well from 1.5, 3.5, 7s. These are all games that are going to run well enough. But if we are then looking at 50s and 30s and upward from that, it's going to get harder to get decent volume for just playing 9-max hypers. And for people who wonder about table selection, how many regs, good or average, are okay in hypers? In general, if you are thinking only about top regs, I think game becomes pretty unprofitable if there will be 6 top regs playing against each other. So, like top regs, I think 5 are going to be the limit, but if there will be worse regs, I think that you can still make money even if there are 7 players in total. Like there will be 6 bad regs or 6 bad or average regs, and then there are going to be 2 randoms or known players that we like to play against, and then I think then a good player can make some money on that game, but that's going to be about the edge of it. And I think on games that there will be more than 7 regs playing, I think it's mostly about moving the rake. I think that then it's also about trying to find other ways to increase your edge, because I think like then most of the opponents are going to be quite well versed in when they are playing regs that are better than themselves. They know how to make it hard for the opponent for having an opponent to have an opportunity to exploit you. And that's, I think, like what when you are moving up in stakes, if you are good in not letting the other opponents exploit you, you then shouldn't be afraid. This is going to be an insane table, this 7, when there are 3 players behind me, and at least I think Nikospas was one of the better regs, if I remember correctly. He's Greek, but still. So I think like in these $7 games, thus far, if I'm seeing the games like this, that there are a lot of random players and about 4 to 5 regs on average, I think these games are going to be pretty good. Ace-9 suited, that would be a shove, but Ace-9 off is probably a fold. And you can see that there might be some pretty insane games also coming up, because I just opened another game that there are 2 regs and 2 players that I like to play against. 1 tablet player in addition to those, so I think there is going to be a game that's going to be really good for our ROI for the session. And in these games, when you are having regs, because I think the player pool in general is going to be quite small, and you are playing a lot against the same people, you are going to get hands pretty quickly again from your opponents, and you'll pretty quickly see who are the regs in the games. And Neo, I think one of the situations that why it's still beatable even after so many regs, I think one of the reasons is that this guy seems to be so loose cannon, and Ace-Deuce off is going to be a hand that we are... This is going to be somewhat of a special play. I would have also shoved small pocket pairs if there seems to be a loose passive player that's going to be calling way too much on the big blind. And I would tend to min-raise hands that are playing better in this situation. And I think that if I'm avoiding average/bad regs in favor of unknown players, it's certainly going to increase my ROI, so that's something that you should do. And also that I said that this is going to be on the edge of profitability for a good player, so when it's on the edge of profitability for a good player, you don't need to lose a lot of value for it to become unprofitable for you. This is something that we are getting 37%-ish. Just chip odds, and with ICM we are requiring a bit more, and I wonder what would be So1 Insane's range there, because he's one of the nittier regs. And nittier regs are good because nittier regs are they're not going to get as much money from the bad players on the table, and also if you are playing aggressively, you are going to have an edge on those players as well. And as you can see in here, like if you are comparing like So1 Insane and Nikospas and Dirkabes, you'll know that I'm giving respect more to regs that are playing with a more aggressive game plan. And even on Nikospas, I'm unsure that how much respect should I give him, because he's also folding a lot of his big blinds, so he's not defending nearly enough. And in here with ace-5 suited, it's a bit on the edge. A bit on the edge because the ace-5 suited, we are not going to be dominating anything that he might have, but our stack size was just so low, and we were in a small blind, so we got pretty good reward. And our risks are not that high because we are having such a short stack. In this situation, actually, when Danby seems to be a tight reggy player, shove could even be a better option. Of course, I'm min-raising a lot of crap as well, so that's something that Kola might know, because we have played quite a few hands against each other. And when the blinds went up, it's going to be good because like the 5 players next to me on the game are regs, so in this way they can't use their positional advantage on me, because I'm going to be shoving against those guys pretty. I'm going to be shoving against those guys, and it's going to negate the. And if this would have been folded to me, it would have been an easy shove, but right now with a min raise from Yuri that opens, or that's from early position, I don't think it's going to be a good enough hand to be 3-betting. It's not only about Dan B, but there are 2 players that are going to be regs after me, and when there are 2 regs after me, I think those players are probably going to be knowing that if I'm min-raising with a stack size that I shouldn't be min-raise folding practically anything, I think that they are going to give more credit to me, and they are not going to be 3-bet shoving more against me. And when this guy is 8/9, then I think that it's going to be more likely that he's also being a better player, and if he's being a better player, then it might be that I'm getting the money in more often if I shove there than compared to if I min-raise and try to induce. So it's not about needy player, it's about if I'm min-raising against thinking players, it's going to be worse than shoving if they are knowing that I should be doing that with pretty nutty range. And see, I'm now using the nutty as the adjective. I learned my lesson from doing something stupid once. In here, because he's not going to be the shortest stack, we can shove pretty liberally there because he shouldn't be calling that much because there's still a shorter stack on the table. Actually, excellent min raise from Dyrkabes, because if I shove and someone calls, then he can just fold and get a chance to get in the money cheap. I need to lock this layout because I'm moving those HUD spots around way too much. And I know that this is going to be a situation that I'm not having fun in this bottom right table. We'll need to call 400 chips. We'll require about 26%. I think we are getting it. And when we are against pocket sevens and a better ace, we are not getting that in that exact hand, but I think against ranges we are. And even pre-flop, when we are against a dominating hand and a pocket pair, we are still getting like 18%, so it's not that horrible. It's not good, but it's not horrible. Oh. With King Queen suited I'm probably going, but King Queen off. That's kind of an insane fold because it leaves me with a really hard to win bubble situation. And now I'm the way shortest stack and we are in the bubble. And we wouldn't have gotten it in bad even with the King Queen off, so that's something. And this is value min raise. And why this is value is that first of all, we can still fold and be left with our 2 cents or 2 chips or whatever. If these guys are getting it all in against each other. And also we are masking our stack size somewhat because if players are multi-tabling a lot, they are seeing that, oh, I'm against a shorty, when they are seeing this only 2 buttons and they are seeing a low amount to call. But if I'm min raising, they are seeing 3 buttons and it's not going to be as easy for them to see that I'm having a really short stack. And Neo, yeah, it gets really complicated. I was first calculating that if the biggest stack wins, do I win it or do I get in the money anyways? If it would have been so, then I would have folded even a King Queen suited. Probably I should have folded something like Ace King off as well. Well, in that situation, because also the stack sizes were so close together that even if the second biggest stack wins, the biggest stack is going to be such a short stack, so it doesn't result in such a horrible bubble situation for me. And yeah, of course you are correct that it also helps my shoving range to make it a bit stronger. And Neo, I have seen those guys that there are something like I have min raised or limped and I have something like 15 chips left. Then on the flop I'm betting those 15 chips and they are like 1/40th of a pot. And they are folding and that's going to be awesome. Or that's going to feel so awesome. In here we are going to play pretty aggressively against Nikos Pass, if we just get the chance. I think I have posted in my blog as well on, I think, one hand on Full Tilt Poker that I had something like 1/40th of a pot left, and it was 3-way pot on the bubble. So I had 2 opponents, and when I shoved I had something like 15 chips to a pot of somewhere around 600 chips. And I shoved and both of those guys folded the river. It was so beautiful. And like, I don't think that it's post-worthy to have only one opponent to fold in that sort of situation. But if two opponents fold, then it's awesome. Like one opponent can just misclick or do whatever, but if two opponents fold, then at least one of those guys have thought about it and then made a decision that no, that's not worth it. And is there any way to play full tilt in Estonia? Nope, no way to play full tilt on Estonia. That's kind of sad. Like, if full tilt would have been purchased by anyone else than PokerStars, I would have been able to play on full tilt poker. But when PokerStars has an Estonian license and they have not applied for license for full tilt poker, then they can't let us play there. Nash in here, when we are taking antes into account, would be somewhere around 15 big blinds, so it's almost double that the stack sizes we are having left. So King 6 suited is going to be a solid call. And actually, let's see this 7-5, 7-8 suited hand. Because it's going to be something that's going to be close. I think it's going to be a good shove, because then we are doing the aggressive move ourselves. If the blinds are going over us, then it's going to be even harder for us to win and have any fold equity against the rest of the players. So that's like a future game situation, that it's going to be better to shove the there is an option in the situation to and when this opponent has like opened pretty much any hand, I think that Queen 6 off is going to be good enough to defend. It's also that I think he has shoved a lot before, so it might not be that good. And now we are having some showdown equity in here, because of the second best high in here. It's going to be quite close. Like ace high would be even. Well, it was a profitable defend, and it was we put in more money when we were ahead. But I thought that bluffing there would not make that much sense, because if we are bluffing there, like, I don't think that we can get ace highs to fold or something, so there are not a lot of better hands that will fold. And of course, betting on the turn would results oriented. It would have been a good idea, because if we are betting ourselves in the turn, we can then decline this guy from some of his equity that he might have with those hands that are weaker than ours. But I think against his whole range, check calling the turn to get more chips in from his bluff is going to be okay. Going to be the best option. That's so easy game. That's so easy game. And now let's do some reg fests. If I would have time to think that what would be a card that would win it for me anymore, I would have called the 8, but oh well. This is also nice that I say that now it's time for the reg fests in 15s, and then I'll see like 2 regs in here, and I'm wondering, perhaps I should quit spin and goes again and come back to hypers, because there might be money in these hypers again. But it's also always good to think about ranges. That you shouldn't be that worried about, and Fresh Fish opens. I think that his range will be something like Ace Jack and then 6s up, and with that sort of a range there should be enough folds, and also hands that we are flipping against, not only better pairs. And Mr. Morse Code, how it's going for you in Spinet Goes? It's going quite well, I think. It has been nice that I have been able to increase my EV in pretty much on every step that I'm taking upwards, but that's mostly that I have changed my game a lot during some, and done a lot of research for it as well. But as you could see from our YouTube channel, and you should subscribe to our channel if you are liking these videos, and it helps you to get more English material in the future. And also not only subscribe to our channel, also register to our forum, www.pokerimania.com/forum. There are English forum, and also we are having some partner sites, and that's going to be pretty much the best way to support Pokerimania, to register to 888 Poker, 24H Poker, or Coral Poker through us. And the more English members we get, the more English content there will be. And Kill for Fun asks, plans for a new Spinet Go coaching? Maybe. I'm thinking that probably the next thing that you will have is going to be the largest jackpots that I have been part of, and analysis on those tables. But I don't think that we are going to do that much live play on Spinet Go. And also, as Neo said, that maybe take a coaching session from our coaches. We are having coaches for cash games, for heads up, for pot limit Omaha, for MTT poker, and for tournament poker in general. So we are having, even it pretty much, it doesn't matter what you are playing, we are having a coach for it. And the more coachings, private coachings you are taking from our coach, the easier it's also to widen the range of our coaches in the future. This is quite interesting against Dyrkabes. He min-raised from UTG. I hit top pair on a board that he shouldn't be hitting, and he has been now 2-barreling. I don't think that he will 2-barrel enough with something like Ace Jack or the weakest parts of his range. If that was a limped pot, then that would be horrible. No, that was a min raise. And when it was a three-way pot, it was even better, because I think that when he bets three-way pot and when he bets again on the... When he bets again quite big on a board that there shouldn't be... that we shouldn't hit that often, I'm thinking that he's going to either have ace-9 or then he's going to have an overpair. Overpair or a set, and pretty much those are going to be the most likely options. There will be some spots that he's going to be two-barreling with an ace, but I think in general people are not two-barreling enough in these games against a call. I think everyone's always planning for a better new year. It's always that New Year is coming so soon, so I'll be better in the new year. I'll put in volume and I'll study and I'll crush the stakes, but it's always, if you are going to crush the stakes, why don't do it now? It doesn't matter, like, the future you is going to be a better you because of the work that you are putting in today. The future you, or the you of tomorrow, he's not going to be better tomorrow just because you have made a decision to be better tomorrow. He's going to be better tomorrow because you have worked your way to be better. If you are saying that you are putting more volume in next year, then you should be already training to be able to put more volume in next year. Otherwise, those are pretty much empty words. And that's not that I'm going to crush everybody's dreams. I'm just trying to remind you that you can always make plans, but plans that you are not acting upon, they are not really plans, they are more dreams. They are more dreams than plans. If we know that we are getting called by 6 king off, then we are probably not shoving jack deuce suited. But in general, we are not going to get called by king queen off. And in here I thought that we are having pretty great games going on, but it seems like this Wicked Souls guy is probably going to be a reg. Dark Jules is probably going to be a reg. So perhaps these tables aren't so good that I thought at first. And Neo, yeah, the Mr. Morse code, you can do it. But if you wanna be better in the future, I'm always saying, don't wait for the next year to start something. If you want to do something, don't always start tomorrow or start next year or next month. Start it now. Then you'll do something. And I'm trying to say that it's more in a general way, not just aimed at you. It was more about a rant on achieving the goals and starting the work now. now rather than planning for the future, because that's the way to achieve results, to do it now rather than. And it's also that I have had quite a few people that I'm coaching that are saying that I'm going to put in more volume next year and I'm going to be better in poker next year. This is an exploitative way because I think King 4 off is not going to be profitable to be shoved here. But I think that the opponents in general are going to give me too much credit if I'm min-raising here, and I'm probably getting enough cheap pots. Ace-2 suited I'm going to be shoving in here with 5 big blinds. For sure, but Ace-2's off. And in here, when opponent calls pre-flop and raises the flop, I think that he's going to have at least ace high too often for me to be calling. And Neo, yeah, you can say it if you are working on it at the moment, so then it's a plan, and that's always going to be, that's something that will bring results. And also, if you are something like you are finishing up your college degree and you are having a lot of exams, then it's okay to focus on what's important in life rather than poker. But if it's like your life situation is going to be the same, but you are saying that you are going to be so much better and you are going to put in more volume, then it's usually something that will not work. It's like you are not doing the. I think there's usually a reason why you are at the level that you are and why you are not at the level that you want to be at. And another aces against jacks. Poor guy with jacks. He never had a chance against you. Yeah, that's going to be so sad for him. We are getting actually really close to requiring 37-ish%. It's actually really close for me. Because I don't think that the opponent needs to shove that wide. That's actually something that we need to review later on. What the opponent should be shoving, what he's likely shoving, and what is profitable for us to call. Something like Queen 8 would be insta-call. When I'm taking the ICM into account, it's like 34% like chip equity-wise, but with ICM. With ICM it's going to be harder. Oh, there were a guy with bigger stack. If he would have had a short stack, then it would have been a horrible fold for me. But luckily he had a bigger stack. And as you see here, we are playing like 6 tables. I think this Wicked Souls guy is someone that I had no hands against before this day, but You are getting hands quite quick in these games if there is a reg against you. Especially now that if regs need to be running pretty much every game when they are trying to hit their VPP goals of the year. This doesn't look that good when fresh fish calls. Oh well, we are quite well off. In here, even when we have fresh fish behind, we are going to be shoving because there will be so much dead money in the pot. And we are risking so little compared to what we can win. And the hand is quite solid if we are not against the bigger pocket pair. And in that situation, even if it looks like there's a shove and there's a call, but it was like 1 big blind stack, 2 big blind stacks, so the guys need to be quite desperate, and when they are quite desperate, the ranges are getting wider, and when the ranges are getting wider, then the amount of pocket pairs that are dominating us in their range is going to be smaller in relation to. And in here we are the shortest stack by far, so we are not getting in the money by folding. There's not a lot to... The biggest stack shoves and there's not a lot to call, so this is going to be a pretty self-evident call. Even when the hand itself isn't so good. But no worries, you can win with any hand. You can win with any hand. Scared as hell by calling that and 6 on the river. That was like kind of a desperation that I hope that one of my opponents is not having a dominating ace or dominating pocket pair. But when there are just 2 big blinds left in your stack, it's going to be so hard to fold. And Neo, yeah, I forgot to chant in my head. One time! One time! I think that's why I lost the pot. In here it's also quite interesting that tablet player has now been a bit more aggressive and we haven't had that many spots. Like if you remember the lower buy-in games, we had a lot of spots to shove. But in these games, we are not having a lot of spots to shove. And I think that because Team Bull is going to shove so often, it's going to be a fold for us in here. It is like 4 big blind shove. It's actually close with ace-9. It's really close. Now there is going to be a mad Aarnimetsa. Steam Bull shoved and this guy folded. If there is something that shouldn't happen, that's exactly what shouldn't happen. It's going to be a bit of a special play. We are going for a stop and go. And I think that stop and go doesn't work if your opponent hits a set, but it works. Oh wow, runner straight. That's awesome. And this is exactly what I meant before. That I said that we are making our stack size for our opponents harder to see for our opponents. We know that Horin is playing a crap ton of tables. If he's playing a crap ton of tables, then he might miss our stack size if we are min raising. Because I know pretty much for a fact that if we would have shoved here, Horin would have called us, pretty much would have snap called us. Because it makes sense with those stack sizes. But when we min raised, I think Horin misread our stack size and just made the first intention to fold. And that's going to be great for us in that kind of situation. I'm a bit worried about hypers that now I have been used to, like in Spinnet Goes, the chat is going to be full of, well, it's going to be full of shit. The first time you are outdrawing someone, the chat is going to be full of crap. But in these games, it seems now like everybody's calm and collected. So perhaps this is like 9max hypers are the gentleman's game right now. That even though we have outdrawn the opponent so much that we haven't been berated yet. And that's something that I'm right now not used to. And in here, because we are the smallest stacks, we are pretty much doing a folding war here with Cola. And this is going to be harder. There's like 60 chips on antes. Not enough. I'm going to be all in from the blinds before Cola. So I need to be, if close-up folds that he never should fold, then I would need to shove this. But I did a miscalculation and it might have costed me quite a bit of equity. Because in this situation, I should have gone all in. When close-up shoved against me when I had the bigger stack, when I was on the big blind. Because I'm going to be the next one all in and I did a miscalculation that Cola would be the next one. It's always you in the hypers when you are... Yes! When you are having such a short time deciding your action. Let's see. We are against 3 bigger stacks, so... And we don't have enough stack to min-raise this, so... We are trying a bit of a different way to hide our stack size. And this is because we would be all in on the next hand anyway. And if we are all in on the same hand as Dyrkabes is, it doesn't matter because Dyrkabes will then have the bigger stack when he's all in from the blinds. And if he's having the bigger stack and we are both eliminated in the same hand, then he's going to get in the money. So that's why you want to have a bigger stack in those situations. And with King Queen suited, we are going to go when close-up 24 is shoving. Oh wow. Oh wow. Well, now it's clear that we are desperate. And both of our opponents are having larger stacks than ours, so... It's going to be a bit interesting, and this has been probably one of the more interesting hyper bubbles that we have had, because all of the players involved are regs. They should know the correct strategy. And when they should know the correct strategy, there are some interesting situations when you are calculating for when you are getting all in the next time. And in this situation, this is all about the dead money, I think. So it's better to get it all in this hand, even though if there would be random players, like the small blind would be a random player, then I might fold something in that spot. And in here, Wicked Souls, if he's a reg, this should be an easy fold for him. And Tyrkkabes is going to be next one all in, and even Kola is going to be all in before I'm having to be all in, so... And this is also going to be pretty interesting. Horrible because close-up didn't shove and we need to go against Tyrkkabes. And this is a battle for the last chip. This is war. This is Sparta. And as you can see, it might get a bit intense, especially when there is one guy with a big stack and two smaller stacks. Well, I think we won at least one game at every level, so we can make the topic of the video on YouTube, how to win on every stake in Hyper Turbo 9 maxes. This sucks, but Queen 7 was good for us last time, right? I should have called that one. Because of the additional dead money. So Queen 7 off was supposed to be a shove there. I just didn't have a time bank and wasn't quick enough to act. I don't know, my HUD might be in top of the... Oh well, at least we are getting the money in good when we are having a lottery. I think we need to call this... I think we do, because even if Tyrkkabes wins this, and then we are folding again for a whole orbit, then I won't be all in from the big blind, but I would be all in the small blind with Tyrkkabes all in at the same time, forced all in. But he would be in the big blind and his stack would be something like 30 or 40 chips bigger than mine. So... And we got money from that tournament, but I think that was one of the better bubbles to show how insane the hyper bubbles might be. That's like one video in itself on the never-ending bubble. And in those situations, you need to be quick to calculate in your head who is going to be the next one all in. Am I going to get money, or am I going to probably get money by folding? And if the results are yes, then in 9 max games you pretty much need to be participating in the folding wars. And it's only fun if you are the one that's going to be doing the shoving with the big stack. And I think that let's have a small break. I'll need something to drink before we start analyzing the hands. But let's start analyzing the hands about 15 to. So there will be something like, I think, 20 to 25 minutes of hands to analyze.